In the 1950s, television entered American homes and reshaped the world forever. This is the story of the shows that captured a nation. The post-war boom created a hunger for entertainment. Families gathered around living room screens, networks experimented, and iconic shows were born. In 1950, variety ruled the screen. Texaco Star Theater, led by Milton Berle, became television's first nationwide sensation. By 1951, more than 12 million households owned a television. Comedy legends like Jack Benny moved from radio to TV, and America followed. Then in 1952, everything changed. A young couple, Lucy and Ricky Ricardo, captured the hearts of America. I Love Lucy became the most watched show in the nation. Comedy and crime drama dominated primetime. Dragnet rose fast, and the Jackie Gleason Show introduced America to unforgettable characters. Variety television hit its stride. Walt Disney entered the scene with Disneyland, while Ed Sullivan prepared to introduce America to the Beatles a decade later. Westerns exploded in popularity. Gunsmoke, The Lone Ranger, and Bonanza dominated the frontier of American imagination. With a gritty realism never seen before, Gunsmoke emerged as the decade's defining Western. By the end of the decade, the Western genre fully dominated. TV had become the new American campfire. In the 1960s, television grew up, color arrived, ratings exploded, and a few legendary shows took over living rooms across America. The post-war world was giving way to the space age. Families still gathered for their favorite weekly shows, but now they could choose between westerns, comedies, variety shows, and a brand new wave of colorful characters. This decade changed not just what people watched, but how television shaped culture. As the 1960s began, the kings of television wore cowboy hats. Shows like Gunsmoke, Wagon Train, and Bonanza dominated the ratings. The frontier was alive and well in America's imagination. But in the middle of all the shootouts and saloons, gentler small-town comedies like The Andy Griffith Show quietly built loyal audiences of their own. By the mid-1960s, audiences were ready to laugh. The Beverly Hillbillies took the country by storm, turning a fish-out-of-water story into one of the most watched shows in TV history. At the same time, The Andy Griffith Show became a symbol of small-town warmth, offering a calm, wholesome escape from the growing tensions of the outside world. Television itself was changing. Color sets were expensive at first, but they were the future. Networks pushed color broadcasts hard, and shows like Bonanza became even more popular because they showcased this new technology. The West had never looked so vivid. By the late 60s, variety shows and fast-paced comedy were on the rise. Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In brought wild editing, sharp political jokes, and a style that felt more like the future than the past. It was loud, colorful, and different. Exactly what a changing generation wanted. Not every legendary show sat at the top of the ratings. Some series, like Star Trek, struggled to survive during their original runs, only to become giants later through reruns, conventions, and an entire sci-fi culture that followed. Others, like The Twilight Zone and Gilligan's Island, became timeless not because of Nielsen charts, but because audiences never stopped talking about them. As the 1960s came to a close, television was firmly part of daily life. Westerns were still strong, comedies were sharper, and variety shows reflected a world wrestling with war, culture shifts, and generational change. The small glowing box in the living room had become the window through which people watched history unfold. The 1960s took television from black and white cowboys to colorful comedies and daring new ideas, and it set the stage for the bold storytelling that would define the decades to come. Next time, we'll step into the 1970s, a decade of groundbreaking sitcoms, powerful dramas, and some of the most influential TV moments of all time. The 1970s reshaped television forever. Edgier stories, groundbreaking comedy, and bold new ideas pushed TV into a modern era. The 60s left America changed, socially, culturally, and politically. Television stepped into the 70s ready to reflect that change. This decade wasn't just entertaining. It was honest, bold, and unafraid to challenge the world viewers lived in. Early in the decade, Norman Lear turned sitcoms into social commentary. All in the Family arrived like a lightning bolt, funny, uncomfortable, and incredibly real. It tackled topics no sitcom had dared to touch. Spin-offs like The Jeffersons and Maude followed, each adding their own voice to the national conversation. The 1970s gave television powerful female characters who broke the mold. The Mary Tyler Moore Show redefined what a sitcom could be, bringing warmth, intelligence, and independence to prime time. Shows like Charlie's Angels brought action, style, and a new kind of heroine to the small screen. Variety shows were still huge. The Carol Burnett Show delivered sketch comedy at its finest, while Sonny and Cher brought music and personality to millions of households. It felt like every week brought something new and something fun. The decade wasn't all laughs. Police and detective dramas surged in popularity. Columbo mesmerized viewers with careful clues and quiet brilliance. Kojak, Starsky and Hutch, and Hawaii Five-0 brought a new intensity and style to the crime genre. Science fiction didn't dominate the ratings, but the 70s planted seeds that would grow for decades. Series like Space 1999 and the animated Star Trek kept the genre alive, and the incredible success of Star Wars in theaters inspired a wave of imagination across the industry. Families found comfort in shows like Happy Days, Little House on the Prairie, and The Waltons. These series captured nostalgia, faith, kindness, and the strength of family, a welcome escape during a complicated decade. The 70s also introduced event TV. Miniseries like Roots brought powerful storytelling to the screen, drawing some of the largest audiences in television history and proving that TV could be as epic and emotional as the movies. As the 70s ended, television was more daring, more diverse, and more influential than ever before. It was no longer just entertainment. It was part of the national conversation. Join us for the 1980s, a decade of big personalities, bigger ratings, and some of the most iconic shows ever created.